Okay. Here comes
Excellent.
Chris. One more joining in.
Excellent. Welcome, friends. We're glad you're here. We're live on Facebook and live recording with Zoom. Thank you to Julia at the Baldwinsville Public Library. I'm Missy Shipman with Missy's Glad Heart Studio, and I'm delighted to be with you this evening to share some fun springtime projects. I always love to have some options, the way you can use your materials in different ways. And Julia and I both delight in hearing about how you use the materials, combining them with items from your stash or from past kits to make something one of a kind. So thanks for being with us tonight. We are going to make 3 projects tonight, plus a little bonus project that I'm going to share with you. This is a fun flip fold card, and it was inspired by my friend Debbie, sent me this beautiful birthday card. And I love sometimes this is called a joy fold when it opens and flip flap that way. So I loved her use of the designer series paper. And so I modeled our card for tonight on that, and using some really lovely springtime colors, fresh freesia, and a returning in color to our line called Crisp Cantaloupe, which is that really pretty peachy cantaloupe color. We also have a lavender card tonight, or you can choose to use the supplies to make a little gift box. So the same materials are used, and I'll share with you how I do the scoring to make this simple box with a lid that opens. And so that you'll be able to use your card supplies either to make the card or the box tonight. And then our third project is a fun daffodil card. Using it kind of makes it look like a stained glass window or a wrought iron fence with peeking through. Um, this is some pretty paper that has the beautiful curry and daffodil colors, as well as some pinks and greens. I love the colors, and with the black, it makes a nice, bold, striking design. And then at the end, I'm going to share with you how to take some 6x6 squares of designer series paper and make them into a super easy gift card or tea bag or money holder, just with origami. There's no scoring ahead of time. It's all just easy folding, so no fancy measuring. So in your kit this month, you got a bonus. There were at least 15 sheets of designer series paper in your box, an assortment of all different colors and patterns. And I hope that you'll have fun using them to make these little gift pouches or to create card layouts, or any way you'd like to use the supplies. But I thought that was such a fun assortment of things. They're not really meant to all match together. They're meant to be used for different projects or to combine with other materials that you have. But let's start tonight with our Joyfold card. And I'm going to share with you the dimensions for the pieces if you want to recreate this card. You might be watching this on replay following our event and not have a kit, but want to use the ideas shared to create your own cards. So this uses 2 pieces of cardstock. We have the card base, which is 5.5 by 7.25, and that is scored at 3 inches. Then we have another cardstock piece. This is 4.25 by 4.25 inches squared, and it's scored at 1 inch. So I'm going to use my bone folder to help me have a nice crease for those pieces. And then the layering pieces are made of designer series paper. We have one that measures 3 by 4 inches. That's going to be on the flap. We have one that measures 2.75 by 5.25, and that will be for the front flap. And then this cantaloupe piece here will be to put inside the card. And so that's just a little bit smaller than a standard card base. It measures 4 by 5.25. Now, the other tall piece that you have in here is to decorate the envelope. So don't let me forget that after we make our card. Okay, so you'll need some adhesive to put your card together. I, as you know, love what I lovingly call the green glue, the Tombow multi-purpose glue. You could also use tear and tape or any other adhesive that you have that's going to give a nice flat grip. And we want to first adhere this inside flap because we're going to cover it with the cantaloupe piece. So this seam is going to be covered with our designer series paper. I'm sorry I can't zoom in more tonight. Sometimes Facebook lets me alter the or sometimes Zoom it is, that lets me alter the view. But I will hold up so you can see close-ups. I'm just centering this, eyeballing a centering, and lining up that seam with the edge of the card base. So you can see here, that's ready to fold over. And that creates our card base. So now we're going to simply decorate it with the designer series paper. We call that DSP for short. So if you see a tutorial written, it's usually says DSP for designer series paper. And I thought this color is light enough that you could do your writing right on top of this. You didn't need to have another white or vanilla cover on side. Um, if you have a lot of designer series paper and want to play around with it, you could also cover the inside flaps, and it just adds more delight for your recipient. We're going to go ahead and just use those 3 pieces. And because our designer series paper is 2-sided, you can decide which design you'd like to have for your card. Sometimes it's fun before you do your gluing, kind of audition your pieces. Here I've got this kind of checker piece, or I have some fun monochromatic floral. So that's a good option you can choose if depending on who your recipient is or what your mood is like. And if you're using the Tombow glue, you need a thin thread of glue. You don't want to have gobs because a little goes a long way, and you don't want it to squeeze out onto the card project. There we are. So now we have, all we need to do left is decorate the front to embellish with this focal point here. Now, included in your kit is a blue scalloped edge circle. We're just going to flip it over to use the white to coordinate with these papers, but you might like this pool party color, and you're welcome to do that. It does match some of the little gems in the kit, so it would work really well to go together. It's another nice, soft, subtle card color, but I'm going to go ahead and do that with, on the white side, I'm going to stamp. Now, I have a special treat for you tonight to see, new from Stampin' Up, we have magnetic ink pads. And these are available in our new ink colors, in 5 colors. And then next year in 2027, they'll be released in all of the Stampin' Up color family. So they're very easy to open. It just pulls apart like this, and then you can hear that magnet will keep it tight. It can be, when you open it up, you can keep it side by side like this. And you'll notice there's a nice kind of well here where you can do watercoloring projects or other kinds of ink. You can push the lid together here, and a little bit of that ink now will transfer. It's hard to see on camera, but now I've got a little bit of the crisp cantaloupe ink here. So I could use a watercolor brush to just pick up that ink and color. So we're going to stamp using a stamp from the stamp set Nature Symphony. I think I used this last month too. It's one of my favorites. This greeting, "You make me smile," is a wonderful, wonderful greeting. So we're going to ink up our new ink pad. You'll notice it's a felt ink pad. Our current pads are foam. Now we have a return to the felt surface of the ink pad, and it's raised. So even if your stamp is, see how it kind of goes above, there we go, it goes up above the white part. So even if you're inking up a very large stamp, you can do that, just walking it across. And I'll ink that. And then because these are photopolymer stamps, what I encourage you to do is use a mat underneath, either like a mouse pad or a foam pad. Even a piece of cardboard will work, to give a little bit of cushion underneath the stamp. Okay, "You make me smile." And then we have in our, let's see where I have them in my envelope, I hope. Nope, they might, yep, they're hiding here. These sweet little flowers. I cut more than you need. You get to decide. Usually I do things in 3s. So I'm going to do 3 flowers. I'll pick, on my sample here, I have 1 fresh freesia and 1 crisp cantaloupe. Maybe I'll switch it up and do the opposite. So we'll take 2 of these. Now I'm just going to use my fingers and thumb to kind of uh, curl the flower a little bit so that it has a little more dimension. I'm just kind of pushing in to the center on these. I'll save that for another one. I could put it on my envelope maybe. And then I'm going to take just 3 dots of glue and position the flowers along kind of in a semicircle shape. And because they've been raised a little bit, they can overlap and kind of look like almost a little bit like a lay around the edge of the circle. And then we'll add some of these sparkly gems. So I am going to put the pinky ones and also these sort of peachy, yellowy ones are pretty close to the crisp cantaloupe. So I'm going to put one of those as a contrast to the freesia, and maybe have a blue one too, because I like to bring in that tone, and then a little bit of this reddish, pinkish one. Sort of subtle color. They're muted, bright. They're bright colors, but they're muted. You can see they're a little bit sparkly. So you have lots of these to play with for other projects. And then we're going to adhere this to the front of the card. And I'm going to use some dimensionals, if I can find them here on my desk. And they are wonderful to pop up our card, our elements on our card. If you don't have them, that's okay. And if I don't find them quickly, maybe we'll work without those today. I'm going to go ahead and use what we have as another adhesive. Is called glue dots. And glue dots are little, little clear dots that are strong. You can see there, and clear, and they hold very well. So they're great if you're putting buttons on something or small ribbon pieces. I'm going to go ahead and just put 3 of those on here. So that's ready to add to the front of my card. You
Are
can
the ones
center it.
are the ones
Go
you're
ahead.
looking for underneath the purple flowered boxes? On up there.
I think that's just an envelope, but
Oh,
thank you.
okay.
Yeah, no, they're
Yeah,
hiding.
sorry.
They
Okay.
might come out to play. That's okay. Or they might be in another pile. I won't, it's okay, because we don't have them in our kit this month, so other people might not have them to play with. But they're a great way to add dimension. You can see just a little bit of shadow here that's created because they are bumped up with the dimensionals. This one's more flat, but because I have this nice dimension of my flowers, I think it's working out just fine to have. I'll just pull those petals up a little bit more. And even when that's put in the envelope, it's going to have a little bit of texture. Aren't those pretty? So let's go ahead and add the paper to our envelope. Let's see, I'm going to pull one of these out from my stash. And what we do is put the glue right on the flap of the envelope. Okay. So I'm going to just make a thin thread all the way around. And then we'll just do a squiggle in the middle. And I can decide I can have polka dots or I can have this crisp cantaloupe pattern. I'm going to do the polka dots because I really love that it's bringing in the color of the fresh freesia as well. So I'll place that onto the flap of the envelope right along the fold line. And then we're just going to give it a little haircut with our snips right around the edge of the flap. And this makes it a fun, no naked envelopes, right? We want to give a little hint about what's inside the envelope. And my friend Linda Talbot, who is in heaven now, a dear friend for many years as a fellow Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and Glad Heart Stamper, she used to call us flappers because we always had fun putting decorations on the flaps of the envelope. So this is in honor of Linda tonight. We're having a flapper card. So that's a really pretty one. I hope you'll enjoy using these dimensions for cards that you create. You can use designer series paper that's in your kit as a bonus this month. Just cut that into those pieces, those sizes. Use other cardstock or pieces that you have in your stash of scrapbooking or memory keeping or card making supplies. And I'd love to see I'd love to see the one you make with the kit, but I'd also love to see if you use these dimensions to create another card. Okay, next let's go ahead and make our daffodil card. And so this is the envelope that has the crushed curry paper inside. And we'll pull out all our goodies here. This one I also had a piece for the flap for the envelope. So let's start with that one this time. We'll start with the flap of the envelope. Will be a flapper tonight for Linda. And I do love this really vintage looking daffodil springtime paper. I think it's so pretty. And I'm going to place that along the fold.
Did you color that in or is that already
No,
like
it
it.
actually, the paper came
Okay.
that way. Isn't it just glorious?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really a really pretty one. So in your kit here, you'll have all kinds of little pieces of that paper. You have one tiny piece of it here, but I love it so much that I used it for the flap. So you'd have a bigger piece. And we'll give it a haircut, just trim carefully around the edge of the flat. And then it will be ready to send in the mail or gift to somebody's mailbox at work or put it in their lunchbox to go to school. Wouldn't that be a fun one to receive? Oh, oh, look, here they are. Here are the dimensionals. We found them. So we've got them for another project. Okay, this card has a lot of little moving parts. And there are extra pieces included for you so that you have choice. Some people don't be overwhelmed by the choice. Just know that it's fun to play around like a puzzle. We'll start. There are just two pieces that line up for the focal point, and that is one of the daffodil where they're growing and they have other little flowers near them. And then that's going to be mounted onto the black cardstock rectangle. Okay, so we have that already decided for us. Now, the other piece we can do a little puzzling with is the piece of black cardstock that's cut to measure onto our card front. And so each of the papers have two sides, so you get to decide how you want to place them. I'm going to use my sample as my guide here, but you don't have to do it the same. You can mix up your pieces. There are two smaller squares, and they both have larger daffodil pieces on them. The other side has little polka dots. I'm going to put that here. So the squares are going to go in the corners of the card, and then the long rectangles go in the around the outside. And you'll see here, you're going to have an extra piece. So this is lovely, these little hearts. If you want to use the hearts or save that for something else, you're going to be able to position the pieces all the way around the outside. And there's no right or wrong to this. Just enjoy kind of puzzling and figuring out the way that appeals to you. And we'll add a little bit of glue, and you'll notice there's just a nice, about a 1/4 inch frame around each of the pieces as we move around here. And this center area is going to be covered with our focal point. I love the combination of stripes and patterns and polka dots. This crushed curry color is really pretty. And so we're creating this, think it looks kind of like stained glass window at this step. It's where it has the black in between the colorful pieces. All right. This part now, I found my dimensionals so we can pop it up. If you don't have dimensionals, that's fine. It's still going to give that illusion of the a window. But if you have dimensionals, I love them because it does engage the recipient a little bit more tactily. They can tactile. They can feel the raised edges, and I think it's a lot of fun. Most of my projects feature dimensionals. There we are. Okay. So we're getting close now, right? Now we can add a greeting element and then some seam binding, this really pretty green seam binding. I think I've talked before with you on our library call about the So What place in Auburn. Maybe some of you have discovered this really fun store in Auburn, New York, where people donate their textile supplies, fabrics, yarn, needlework projects, buttons, and seam binding. So this is actually, I had this from Stampin' Up, but for another project coming up soon in the library, I'll be sharing some seam binding with you that I got. It's vintage seam binding from So What in Auburn. It's a really neat place. It's kind of a treasure hunt spot where you can go and find all kinds of supplies that need a new home. Instead of going to the landfill, they get to go and be enjoyed by other crafters. Now for this card, we have a little oval for our sentiment, and I wanted your help in picking which greeting we should have. We have You Are Loved, I'm So Grateful, You're the Sweetest, Consider Yourself Hugged, Wishing You Good Things, Happy Birthday, I Can't Thank You Enough, Here's to You, Cue the Confetti, Celebrate, Sending My Love, You Did It, I'm Here for You, and Thanks a Million. So all of these are sized to fit in this small, on a banner or on a little oval. So on my sample card, I put the Sending My Love. Oh, thanks, Julia, for putting that in there. It's really fun. If anybody wants a field trip and wants to join me on a road trip to Auburn, it's a great adventure spot. So the original one, I add Sending My Love, but does anybody, if you want to add to the chat what you think would be fun for this card, from the banner saying stamp set, you can just type that in, or we'll have Julia pick. But if anybody watching wants to chat, they all fit nicely, and we'll use the Memento black ink. What do you think? Would you like to pick, Julia?
I'm kind of liking the wishing you good things.
I like that one too. Let's do that. Wishing you good things. That's a fun one because it's really for any day of the year, right? It doesn't have to be a birthday greeting. It's just a wishing you good things every day. So I'm inking up my stamp. Again, it's a photopolymer stamp, which means it doesn't have a cushion here. So we have a cushion underneath the stamp instead of on top. And we will stamp that wishing you good things right in the little oval. Very nice. And then we can add that to the scallop oval just to add some interest with the shapes. Let's see here. Using the mini dimensionals today, they are smaller and they're great for little things, but they also are strong enough to hold big pieces. We can add the wishing you good things to the focal image. And then we have a piece of this lovely seam binding. So I'm going to show you one way to tie the bunny ear method to tie a bow. So I've made 2 loops like bunny ears. Let me just move this away so you can see. I'll do it again. 1 loop and 2 loops. Okay. And then I'm going to just cross them over and pull. I can wiggle it and make it equal again.
I know some people
And
are going to be replaying that moment.
yes, yes. So that's called the bunny ear bow. You just make the 2 loops and then cross the 2 loops. And it does make a nice bow, and it gives you chance to still wiggle room and kind of puff the circle parts. It's nice if you start with your ribbon a little longer than you might need, and that way you can trim off the edges. So I'm going to just trim, going to keep them pretty long tails, but trim it a little bit. And then this, I'm going to use my glue dot that I shared with you before. The glue dot is a nice adhesive for ribbon. It grabs the texture of ribbon or fabric really nicely. Also like buttons or something with a little bit of weight to them. And we'll add that right to the wishing you good things. Oh, that looks lovely. Now it's beautiful like this. This would be if you wanted to clip it onto a frame or a clipboard or put it as a magnet on your fridge, but we're making it a card to send in the mail. So we'll take our card base and fold that in half. I didn't pre-score that, so you'll just fold that in half. You can use a bone folder or back of a spoon to make a nice crease, and then we'll add that to the card base. Got a little bit of trimmings of our ribbon in the way here. Again, the black, whenever you use black, especially with bold colors or with soft subtles, it's going to really help the colors pop, and it kind of defines a border, which I like. I like using black with colors. So there we have our beautiful envelope with the flappers. We are flappers tonight, making our flapped envelopes, and it's ready to send. So that's a fun one too. And these are easy to make with Designer Series paper scraps. So again, you can mix and match the pieces that you received in your kit as a bonus this time to make a similar card if you wish. Now we'll do our final project. And this one, I want you to know you can do two different ways. So the card is the element is very similar to the way we've done it on the box, but you'll notice that the box label is shorter, right? Because otherwise it wouldn't have fit on the cover of the box. So I'm going to share with you a trick to shorten the label, and then we'll put together that element, and you can decide if you want it to be on your card or on your box. So I'm going to take my trimmer, my paper trimmer, and I'm going to first we'll work on the element before we decide about the box. So this is square right now, and I just needed to shrink it a little bit. So what I did was I parked the dark blade. The dark blade is for cutting, so you want to move that out of your way when you're doing scoring projects. And then I'm going to score over here at, see, I figured it out earlier today when I was working on this. I think I'll do it at 2 inches this direction, score, and then at 2 inches this direction. That's going to make it a little bit bigger though. I must have done a quarter. Let's go, let's see. So that it's a 1/2 inch, it would be right about here. All right. Basically, I'm making 2 parallel lines that I can fold so that I'm shrinking the size. I think I did it at about 3/4. This one I did a little bit larger, but you'll see it. What I did was you could also cut it, but just by scoring it this way, I knew that these pieces, the foil would line up really neatly. Okay. So that's how I got my
Right
my label
sized,
cut down.
right sized label. And I like
Yes.
that you just by covering it up, you're making it, yeah.
Yeah, so now I'm going to just add some adhesive here to shorten this. You, like I said, you could cut it, but I wanted that the foil to line up really neatly, so I chose to score it. And the same element you could use on the card if you decide to, but probably if I was going to do the card, I wouldn't shrink it because it really does fit nicely. It fills up that shape on the card. So if you're planning to make it as a card, just work as it is. But if you want to make it as an element on the box, you're going to fold to shrink it. You make 2 parallel lines, score lines, and then kind of zigzag the fold. Okay, then what we'll do is take our little piece of purple, and this is fun. It looks kind of like watercolor wash paper here. And we're going to cut that down so that it fits inside the foil area. I'm just going to make a little note of where that would be and trim that away so it kind of fits inside where the foil is. So it's the line now is not as obvious, the fold, it only shows at the edge here, but I don't think people would notice that. Okay, so we're going to use some adhesive to secure that on top. There we are. Okay. Now, in your kit, you have this lovely little bouquet of lavender. There's some sage and greenery, and then 2 sprigs of lavender. Some of you have one that's a little bit taller, and some of you have 2 that are the same length, but it's all good. Okay. And we're gonna tie this bouquet with some thread, some twine. This is twine that's white and green. And so what I did was kind of lock these down a little bit, tacking these down a little bit with some glue, because I'm gonna then tie around the stems. And taking my thread, I will leave a tail, and then I'm gonna just wrap around a few times. If you catch some of the lavender at the bottom, it works the best. So that then you wrap 2 or 3 or 4 times around. I'm gonna do one more time. And then I can tie a bow. So I know my camera's a little far away. I'm going to hold it up for you to see in a minute. And once you have some glue on your fingers, it's a little bit tricky to use the twine. There we go. Okay. So what I did was kind of bunch together the elements and then tie them with the twine, wrapping a few times around and tying a little bow. Then that's ready to add to our image, to our tag base. And we can do that again with some glue. So we'll just dot, 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 not a lot, a little bit of that glue so that it can anchor in place. And we'll do a little bit of stamping. So again, we have a choice from the banner set, banner sayings. We can pick another one of these sweet words. I put celebrate on my original box because I thought this would be a fun, festive little gift. But I think so many of them would work. If it was a little thank you gift that I can't thank you enough would be fun, or you're the sweetest. I think of lavender as kind of a sweet smelling, a fragrant flower. What do
Uh,
you think, Julia? Should we pick one of these?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying for tonight, but you could do the cue the confetti and hide a little confetti in the bin.
Oh, that's a great
With it.
idea. That would be a lot of fun. Let's do that. And then we can put something fun inside as a little surprise. Cue the confetti. Here it is. Okay, that's a great idea. Now I'm using another one of our new in colors. So it's a new magnetic ink pad for the color called Peaceful Pine. This is a really lovely green color that is kind of works with all of the other greens that are in this beautiful, beautiful card base. There's sages and pines and garden greens, a lot of colors. And I thought that the pine I wanted to show off because it's new and also because it's a very versatile green. I think it's going to
Yeah,
complement so many other things. Okay, cue the confetti. I like that because inside the box we can put some confetti hiding a little gift inside or some candy maybe.
yeah.
Now you'll notice on my box, I also have some embellishments, some of the little sparkle gems. So
Hmm.
they should be in your packet too. Sometimes things get separated from mine. There they are. So I'm going to just do the rule of three here, make kind of a triangle, 1, 2, and 3 over in this corner. So my eyes are going to move around with that sparkle. But again, you've got a few extras. You can use as many as you like. And this is ready now to go on a box. So my card base, if I wanted to just make it a card, I would fold this in half. And then this is how it starts. I would just fold on that score line and add my elements. So you could shrink it the way we did for the box, or you could keep it whole. The only difference here was instead of trimming the banner to fit all the way across, I flagged the end so it would be like a little banner on the card here. And then added the greeting, happy birthday. And that greeting is from a stamp set, which is darling, called Cutest Crew. It has these sweet little dogs and cats and birds and butterflies and some really nice greetings. My favorite, so glad we're friends. So
I like
that's
the
called
footprints
Cutest Crew.
too. That has
Yes,
footprint.
isn't it fun? The little
Yeah.
feet and the little bird prints, and it's a really darling stamp set. Yeah. So that's if you want to make your card. But I'm going to show you next how to score a card base so that you can turn it into a box. And we're going to, again, use the scoring blade. So we're going to park the dark out of the way. Let me just get my glue aside for a minute here too. Okay. And what we're going to do is score on all 4 sides at 1 inch. So on my scoring tool and my cut paper trimmer and score, I can measure 1 inch on this side or to the right of the ruler. And whenever I have a length here, I want to try to butt it up against this to make a nice 90-degree angle. So I'm going to use the 1 inch over on the right side so that I have all this space here to push my card up against to make sure it's nice and straight. So we've parked the dark blade and I'm going to use the scoring blade. And on all 4 sides, I'm scoring at 1 inch. This paper is so, so, so beautiful. There we are. And the 4th side, And then for the middle, you'll notice I did not score my card. I didn't fold it. It's already scored here, but I'm not going to fold on that score because what I'm going to do is make a score line a 1/2 inch on the purple and a 1/2 inch on the flower. Okay. So to do that, it's a little bit trickier because it's kind of hard to see where the 1/2 inch is when it's all the way up at the top. So what I like to do is use these, this line right here that's perpendicular to my paper. And I'm going to put the seam where the flower and the purple is, I'm going to put that at a 1/2 inch. And instead of pushing it all the way up, I want to be able to see the numbers. So I'm lining it up with this line just underneath here. I hope that makes sense. And I'm going to score. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to take that, the divider line where the purple turns to the flower, line that up at 1/2 inch and score. And so now what I have is a score line. For the middle, I have 2 score lines here. And I don't want to score that middle one. I'm just going to score the new ones that I made. I'll use our tool.
Now you had a way of making those score lines for those of us who don't have the official scorer thing.
Yes, what you can do is use a ruler and then either if you have a stylus or a bone folder, you could use like a pen that doesn't have any ink in it anymore, or if you're using it on the wrong side, even though the ink might show, that would be a way you can score paper. You just have to have a straight edge and then push down, and it's going to make that crease.
Okay.
Okay.
You could
Okay.
even
So
use a very dull knife, like
yes,
a
the butter knife you
butter
could use.
knife.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Just be careful whatever you have under your surface, of course. Yeah.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yes. And then we're going to go ahead and crease all of those score lines except the one that was made for me that I don't need, that little one in the middle. Now we have to do a little bit of cutting. We're going to turn this purple part into the bottom of the box. Okay. And you can see how this is glued here to create the base. It's like a donut box, right? So this is the part where the donuts go, and then we're going to make the lid. So on the first, we're going to cut on the score lines, and we'll cut. You'll see you're going to cut on the sides where you have the middle pieces. You're going to have 2 flaps here, and then on the ends we're going to have flaps. So we're going to cut one like this, one like this, and I'll show you once it's done. We'll look at it all together before we glue it. There we go. Okay. So we have the 4 at the ends and then 2 in the middle. They're all going to have glue, but we're going to start by first just making the base of the box, the part that holds the donuts, okay? So to do that, we're going to put glue on the colored squares that are folded back. And this is a really cool trick that you can do to make a box out of any card base. Anytime you have that half sheet of cardstock that's ready to make a card, you can turn it into a sweet little box. So because the glue just takes a minute to grab the fibers, you're going to pinch that with your finger and thumb. And then to make the base of the box, we're going to put glue on these guys here, these flaps, and fold them up. And that's going to make sort of the donut tray. There we are. Okay. So there's the base of our box. And to make the lid, we just have to add glue to these final 2 squares. There we are. I love to make books and boxes. Those are my favorite. I of course love to make cards. make a card, send a card. There's nothing quite like it. But boxes and books it's just combining my love of math and engineering, paper engineering, and I think it's very satisfying. So now we have this lid that just flips down on top of the purple base. Isn't that clever? So it's ready to fill with confetti, or we can tuck some tea in there tonight and close it up. And then we'll put our element on top with some dimensionals. Here they are. So I'll be curious to know if you're going to use the lavender supplies to make a box or to make a card. And of course, Julia and I always enjoy hearing who you're sharing them with, who you're going to send the cards to. I know a lot of you, and myself included, love to sometimes keep the cards we make because we're proud of them and they're special. And that is fun to have a little display of some of your favorites. But I really challenge you to make a card and send a card because it gives joy to people in their mailbox, like just a simple pleasure. It's a hug in the mail when you send a card. So there's the cue, the confetti box. Here's my original one with celebrate. And then here's the card again. So if you choose to make your card, you're going to do the elements the same way, except in this case, I extended the purple to make a flag. Okay. And that has a pretty envelope that has a coordinating pattern inside, that sort of rustic polka dot color inside. There, so let's bring our projects back in. Before we go though, I'm going to show you how you can use another idea for using the 6x6 pieces of designer series paper that I included in your kit as a bonus. So this is if you want to send, maybe you want to gift a little money to someone or a gift card. This one has a gift card inside. Or maybe you want to give some tea or a little love note. So what you'll do is you'll fold your, whatever, this is the money you can fold, or if it's the gift card or the tea bag, it's just placed inside the paper. Okay. I'm going to do this twice so you'll be able to watch. And again, there's no measuring. It's really just folding and scoring. So I'm going to make a little pocket at the bottom. I'm going to pull up. It's about 1.5 inches, but again, we're not really measuring. We're just gonna have fun with folding. Okay, so we've had the little pocket at the bottom. We're gonna fold 2 triangles on the sides. Basically, you want to have it be symmetrical. So you're not worrying so much about the length or the width of the folds, but that you want them to match on each side. That's more important. Okay, then we fold this over. I think this would be fun to give to a waitress as a tip at the oh, that's going to be too wide, I think. Well, let's see what happens. If you're out to lunch and you want to give a tip, it would be kind of a fun surprise to gift it to someone in a little folder pocket. Then we're going to fold some triangles at the top. And this one might be a little tricky to tuck in. Let's see how it works. What we want to do is tuck this piece down inside here. And I didn't leave a lot of room, so I'm going to see how much I can fit in. And then I'll crease the top. That worked.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's the kind of thing if you make, each one's going to come out a little bit different size because you're not measuring, right? You're just fitting, here's the tea bag one. Here is, I think, empty, surprise. And this one was a little bit of money. So I'm going to do it again, and you'll see that it's just a simple, easy fold. And each one's going to come out a little bit different. But what a fun way to kind of surprise somebody with a tip or a little love note or a photo inside would work. So let's do one more. This is a blue, whoops. This one has a good contrast, so it will be easy for you to see the folds. This time I'm going to do it with a gift card. So I'm placing that down. It's more on the bottom than the top of the paper. We're going to fold up a little bit, score. Going to keep that centered. And now I'm going to fold these little triangles. So this time I matched the triangle right up to the top of the paper. And now we're going to fold those in. And this side too. So it's approximately the same. You want it to be pretty symmetrical. Now we're going to fold in that top to make the triangle flap. Looks a little bit like a house shape right now, right?
Mhm.
And then before we crease here, we're going to just see how far we need to go to make it tuck in. And then once you've tucked it in, then you push down here and do your scoring. That's probably
Okay.
the best way to explain it. Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
So I just thought you might enjoy using the variety of designer series paper pieces that you got as a bonus to make, a bunch of these assorted little gift pouches. And each month I'll try to share some other ways you can use a piece of 6x6 designer series paper. It's really quite remarkable the number of different card designs you can create and little favors and things like that with just a 6x6 piece of paper. But let's pull in our projects from tonight so you can take a look again at our collection. And we've got those pretty envelopes as well. And I look forward to you sharing your questions, your comments. Questions help me learn things, so it's always great to have questions. And thank you, Julia, for your tech support and ongoing support of our card making adventures. I look forward to seeing many of you, I hope, at the in-person class tomorrow. One sneak peek is, in addition to card kits, this month I also have a fun magnetic board. It's
Ooh,
these are clips that are magnetic, and then it has these little pockets. You can put cards and things inside or photos inside.
or
It comes with the
coupons or grocery
stickers
list.
and
Yeah.
the grocery list, exactly. Yes, or any calendar kind of cards and things like that. So this is another option for our kit together tomorrow. You can do a memo board card, or a photo display board, or I have several different card kits, lots of fun spring ones. So look forward to sharing that with you at our in-person class tomorrow morning. Thank you so much, Julia. And I
Yeah,
hope
thank you.
everybody has a wonderful April.
Mhm.
Have a
Okay,
good
good.
one.
Yeah. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.